If your company has a compliance program, then your company needs compliance training. If you want your program to be a success, that training needs to be the best. Join Sean Rogers and Tom Fox on Excellence in Training and learn just how good compliance training can be.
Hello, everyone. Tom Fox and Sean Rogers back for another episode. And today we are going to talk about, or at least Sean's going to give us his thoughts about working with training vendors. Sean, having been in this position for some time, you certainly have relied on training vendors to assist you in creation of compliance training courses. What are some of the advantages you found in working with compliance training vendors?
Hi, Tom, and thanks for having me back. Yes, this is one of my passionate topics because training vendors are so critical to what I would call a best-in-class program because they specialize in a certain set of disciplines that are really needed to have what I call a quality training deliverable. Now, again, I'm talking only about online courses here, which are the courses we use to reach the masses. But there's certain skill sets that vendors bring to the table in terms of instructional design and look and feel and professionalism and also subject matter expertise that if you can bring on some good vendors to help you with your training program, you're going to have an advantage over trying to create this from scratch in-house, perhaps using some more rudimentary tools that are available to you when you're only trying to do things in-house. So I absolutely love working with good training vendors, and I'm excited to talk to you for a few minutes about that.
So what are some of the really criteria you look for, or at least put out there when you're selecting a compliance training vendor?
You know, I've thought a lot about this, and I've been through multiple RFP processes at different companies to select training vendors. And so I look for a few things that are important, but I think over time I've developed a philosophy that the most important thing I can look for in a training vendor is someone who can be a strategic partner with me for my program, for my company. You hear the regulators say all the time that a training program should be tailored to the company's needs and situation. And so what I want in a training vendor is someone who can come in and be my partner and say, Sean, what is it that you need at your company to create an effective, an efficient, and a professional training program? And let's work together and be innovative in coming up with a tailored solution that matches your company's personality, its culture, and its risk profile. And so, you know, all the other things are important. You know, bringing together a good library of courses is important. Having a good look and feel is important. Having a good service function is important. But really what I want is a partner that can come in and have a vested interest in the success of my training program. So I look first and foremost at whether or not they will help me be successful. And in turn, how can I help them better their program?
So, Sean, that's certainly a message that I hear many vendors and training vendors as well talk about as being a strategic partner with your customer. But I found it interesting that that's exactly what you want back as the purchaser of those services. So maybe we can help sort of get that message out as well. But now let me turn to some of the practices that you've seen and you have seen that you think could be improved upon, and how a training vendor can deliver even greater value to a corporation, to the compliance function, and frankly, to someone in yourself, who is tasked with bringing a wide variety of training modules to your organization.
Well, let me make some broad, sweeping generalizations, and let me emphasize up front that I'm not referring to any specific vendor that we currently use, have used in the past, or even vendors I've used at previous companies. So these are very general statements and not intended to be a criticism of any one vendor specifically. So as we've discussed in our prior podcasts, the key questions that regulators will ask when assessing the effectiveness of the training program are, is it risk-based? And is it tailored to the company's specific situation? And so I just put out a rhetorical question. Can a compliance training program be both tailored and risk-based if it only uses off-the-shelf content from a training vendor? And I think the obvious answer to that is no. It's not going to be really tailored to the company, and it's not going to necessarily match the company's risk profile if you're only looking at off-the-shelf content. And so while it's really important that a vendor bring a really good, solid content library to the table, that's just what they need to do to get a seat at the table. If you really need a best-in-class program or want a best-in-class program, the courses must be customized to the company's core business, its risk profile, and its culture. And this means that the vendor needs to give you the capability to do a few things. First of all, at a baseline, they need to give you the ability to match your company's branding guidelines in terms of using your company's logo, colors, and even the terminology that you use that's unique to your industry and to your company. They need to give you the ability to use photographs and graphical images that are relevant to your industry, and maybe even photos from your company's photo library and not just a stock photo subscription. They need to support your ability to put a video in the course from one of your company's leaders, one of your senior executives, so that there can be a great tone at the top or tone in the middle message that prefaces the course that you're developing. They need to let you customize the scenarios and the knowledge checks so that they match situations that could actually occur at your company. I've seen courses pitched to me before that says, you know what, you have this really great course and you go in there and learning objectives are really good, but then they have scenarios about a healthcare situation, and that doesn't apply to a high-tech company or an automotive company. And so there's got to be an ability to customize the courses so that they're presenting scenarios and concepts that could really occur. Otherwise, you turn your learners off immediately. They look at the course and say, you know what, it's just not irrelevant. It's not relevant to me, and therefore, why am I taking this course? It's a waste of time. And finally, you need to be able to add custom content to some of these off-the-shelf courses. And you might need to even reword some of the pages to match your code and policy. And it may seem like a lot of these are very, very obvious, but it's really easy to get caught up into the rut that I can only take a course off the shelf and just drop it into my training program and have it be effective. And I don't believe that's the case. And then at some point, the vendor needs to give you the ability to totally build your own course. And this is something that I've been challenged with because a lot of the vendors that provide really good training libraries are not as good at coming to the table and providing you with the resources and the expertise necessary to design a custom course from scratch. So let me give you an example. Here at GM, obviously one of our main concerns is product safety, the safety of our vehicles. And I can guarantee you that there's no vendor out there that has a vehicle safety course that could be just pulled off a library and dropped into our program. That has to be tailored to General Motors from the ground up. And so I need to have the ability to build a course that relates to safety, but has the same look and feel to the anti-corruption course or the anti-harassment course that I've pulled out of the training vendor's library and customized and dropped into my program. So that's kind of a hit list of what I really need a training vendor to do for me in a company the size of the company I currently work for.
So, Sean, does a relationship with a training vendor evolve so that after kind of the RFP process and you really sit down, roll up your sleeves and start to work through some of what I would say are some of these more basic issues, and you can move towards the truly customized training courses that you would have a true strategic partner who not only understood your needs, but also understood what they could bring to the table in terms of their own sophistication, expertise, and most importantly, technological solution around training?
Yes, I think that when you have a good partner, it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship. And I'll just give you an example. We have an anti-harassment course that we've done here at General Motors for the past couple of 2 years. It's been revised. It was initially deployed and then revised the second year. And then we were going to do it again for the third year. And I didn't want to keep repeating the same learning objectives that we've done in the past. Learners are getting tired of hearing the same thing. You know, what is quid pro quo harassment, and what is hostile workplace, and what are the definitions, and what are the scenarios where these occur? They're getting tired of hearing that. But we needed to do another course to reemphasize that message. And so I said, you know what, we need a course that talks about how to respond when you see harassment. Now that you've had 2 years of training about how to recognize it and how to recognize what harassment is and isn't, what do you do next? And so I went back to my vendor and said, listen, I need a course like this. I need a course that tells supervisors what they do when they get a report of harassment. I need that same course to say, okay, you're a bystander. You're not involved in the harassment scenario, but you see something going on that you think is harassment. What is your responsibility as a bystander? So that's like the second module in this course that I want to develop. And the third module is, okay, you're experiencing harassment. In other words, you're the victim. What do you do, and what reassurances do you need from the company so that you have the courage to take the necessary steps to put a stop to it? And so I wanted to do a responding to harassment course rather than, what is harassment course. And this is what I call progressive learning. And I wanted my vendor to help me to take my learners to the next step in their evolution of understanding of this broader, very important issue of harassment in the workplace. And so what we found was, there's not a course in the library that matches exactly what you want to do, but I'll be darned if that isn't a really, really good idea. So let's do a co-development project where we bring GM on board with our instructional design team. We build a course like this that will match your requirements so you can deploy it in your organization, but then we can drop it into our library in a generic way and let other companies benefit from this. And so that's an example of how a really good vendor relationship can be mutually beneficial. We get the course that we want that provides progressive learning and provides the next step in the maturity continuum, I call it, of our learners' knowledge and intelligence around this risk topic, but also gives the vendor a benefit. So that's just an example of how you can have this mutually beneficial relationship if you get a good vendor on board and you're each other's success.
Sean, I've heard you use a phrase that truly has stuck with me, and it's stuck on stupid. So I was wondering if you might be able to end our podcast with a few thoughts on stuck on stupid, and really, more importantly, how not to be found in that situation.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I've used that phrase, and maybe it's gotten me in trouble more than once. But when I take a step back and look at what a lot of companies do in compliance training, they treat it differently than other types of skills-based training. It's like we feel like we have to repeat the same learning objectives and same courses year over year over year with never really making changes to them. Maybe we repackage them in a different way and we give them the same message, but we use a different format, or perhaps we use, funny videos or whatever. And those are all well and good. But I think what we do is we get stuck on stupid in a way that we feel like our learners are not internalizing the content when they get it 1 year. And for some reason, the next year, they've forgotten it all and we need to repeat it again. And so I'm really an advocate of giving learners credit for what they've taken in the past and helping them move to the next level in a progressive learning way. And so instead of getting stuck on a rut and being so fearful that if we don't do a certain topic every single year, we're going to get in trouble with the regulators, let's put together a program that really makes sense, that helps a learner progress in maturity and sophistication over a period of years. And you know what? Once we've hit a topic for a couple of years or even 1 year, let's give it a rest and bring other risk topics into the rotation so that we have a balanced approach. And so that's one of the messages that I think you'll see as a theme throughout this podcast is how can we move from the old school thinking that we just need to repeat the same courses and same topics every single year to satisfy the regulators. And let's really put some intelligence behind this and think about how we take our learners from a baseline of understanding of our code to being really sophisticated enough to apply the concepts of compliance in their business environment and integrate these concepts into their day-to-day business activities. And so let's move it to an intelligent and a well-designed approach. And I think that will be totally defensible if we were ever called into question.
Well, Sean, this has been a fascinating exploration of a wide variety of training topics. I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you, Tom. It's been my pleasure today.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, hit it.
Hi, this is Sean Rogers. In these podcasts, I'm not speaking on behalf of my company in any way. I'm sharing my own thoughts, my own experiences, and my own opinions, and I'm certainly not endorsing any specific vendors that my company is currently using or has used in the past. I'm certainly not disparaging any vendor or any other company's compliance training program. I'm doing this out of an effort to promote and encourage continuous improvement across the profession. I really hope that in some small way these podcasts will generate ideas that will be helpful. Thank you for giving me this platform that adds my voice to a very important and worthwhile topic. Hi, this is Sean Rogers. In these podcasts, I'm not speaking on behalf of my company in any way. I'm sharing my own thoughts, my own experiences, and my own opinions, and I'm certainly not endorsing any specific vendors that my company is currently using or has used in the past. I'm certainly not disparaging any vendor or any other company's compliance training program. I'm doing this out of an effort to promote and encourage continuous improvement across the profession. I really hope that in some small way these podcasts will generate ideas that will be helpful. Thank you for giving me this platform that adds my voice to a very important and worthwhile topic.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Excellence in Training. Help get the word out by rating us and leaving a review.